Welcome to the Brave Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started. Well, sisters, today I have a really amazing guest with me. And I invited her on to have a really deep and potent conversation. So roll up your sleeves, ladies. We're going deep. We're going to talk about the sister wound today because it affects all of us as women. And what we're really committed to here at Sistership Circle is creating sacred sisterhood. And so this beautiful sister and I are going to talk about that. We're going to unpack just how we've been wounded. And let me introduce you to Tara. Hi, Tara. Thanks for being here with me today. Yay.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So let's just give a little context. We had our Rise into Your Leadership event a couple weekends ago. And I invited a group of our How to Lead Circle and Businesses Circle and just some of our graduates. And Tara popped into my head. I said, she's got to be on here. She's so powerful when she speaks. She's always so vulnerable. And we know that she's going to show up real and authentic and just bring it to the circle. And so we did a circle demo on Sister Wound. And Tara shared something really, really powerful. So I want to first, Tara, have you share a little bit about your journey of getting to Sistership Circle, just so everyone can feel connected to you, know you, and then I want to have you share about the sister wound so we can dive into it.
Okay. I grew up an only girl in my family. I had all brothers, and I had a lot of girl cousins, but they lived far away. So the only cousins I hung out with were boys, and I dreamed my whole life of having a sister, but I just never was very good at making friends with girls and having those relationships stick. And that was a pattern that continued well into my adulthood. I was always the one there for other people, but then when I needed people to be there for me, it just wasn't something that I found in a stable way. So I was in a really dark place in my life where I needed a community of sisters. And I was scrolling Facebook, absent in my depression, and saw this beautiful message from Sistership Circle and doing How to Lead Circle. And I don't remember the specifics of it, but I popped onto the website and I was just blown away by the energy of what was there. And I knew that it was what I needed. And I wanted to jump into that program so that I could gather a group of sisters together for myself where I am. And that's not what ended up playing out, but what ended up coming to be was actually so much better, because when I went through How to Lead Circle, I gained a group of sisters that I still have to this day that are so powerful in my life and so important to me. And then I went on to do Business of Circle, and those women were equally powerful and are equally still present in my life. And the women that I continue to meet through Sistership Circle who have gone through it as well, and we have met through the tribe family. And so I needed that sistership and that connection, and I have gotten it so profoundly through coming into contact with you and joining into the How to Lead Circle and going through Business of Circle, and just the energy of how powerful it is to become vulnerable and share your truths and what that does for you, but also what it does for other women. And it creates this thing that I knew I needed, but I couldn't put a finger on what it actually was until I had it. And now there's nothing I wouldn't do to make sure that I get to continue to have these connections and these relationships, because they're just so powerful. And it's created such an impact in my life and my daughters and my just beautiful women all around me that I get to come in contact with. So it's been very powerful in my life.
Yeah. And I
Um,
was in your How to Lead circle. I had the honor of leading
yes,
that one. And yeah, such a powerful group. And I love that this group is still connected, and so many women in that group I'm still connected with. So
yes,
I'm just, oh, that brought me back to that
yeah.
group.
With
Ah, mm,
strong connections with powerful women, it's just amazing what can happen when those things get connected the right way. And
yeah.
thank you for creating that space for us and being there to lead that. It wouldn't have been the same without you in that
Mm,
space. So,
yeah.
yeah.
One of the things I took away from that is how we can hold hands on a virtual screen, where we put our hands up to the
Yes,
edges of the screen
yes,
and touch each other. And that
yeah,
was just so, oh my
yes,
gosh, that was such a delight. Oh, so many
yeah.
amazing
I like
rituals.
to use that in my circles now too.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember the one that we did also, the ritual that we did in How to Lead Circle, where we strung the beads and spoke about what we were wanting. And I still have that beaded bracelet over on my, it's right back here behind me, hanging on my
Yeah.
lamp. And I look at it all the time. It's one of my
Oh,
most prized possessions.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Whew.
Okay. So then something recently happened.
Yes.
So talk about divine timing of you're invited to come into the circle demo 2 weeks ago, and
Yes.
just had this really painful experience with another leader. And I just want to say that this is something that so many facilitators may face. And so I feel like this is such an important conversation for us to have today. So share with
Yes.
us what recently happened.
Um, After going through BOC, I had set out to create my business and add circle into my business, and there were aspects of my learning and knowledge that I just don't have that I want to share. And I got in contact with a woman who had some of those things, and I felt like we would make a great collaboration to create this. And she actually brought it up, and we started moving through the process of creating a program together where she was inputting her ideas and her skills and wisdom, and I was inputting my skills and wisdom that I had learned through Circle and how creating the container and sharing all these things. And we had these amazing conversations, and we were building towards this amazing launch that we were going to do. And then out of nowhere, she ghosted. And she wasn't responding to my messages. She wasn't responding to my emails. And I kind of got nervous, and I thought, well, maybe I had done something. What
Mm,
had I done that had shifted the dynamic? I hadn't felt anything shift from her. And so I wondered, had I done something? Or, all those things you go through when a relationship is severed suddenly and you're left confused. And I processed through it a lot, but it was very painful for me because I didn't have any idea what had happened. And then just a few days before you and I connected about coming to the Rise into Your Leadership, I saw that she was posting her new program,
mm,
and she was outlining it with all of the things that I had shared with her from my skills and the things that she had basically just taken everything that I had shared with her, and she was now incorporating it into her program on her own without me there. And I just felt so, it was such a deep wound for me because I had felt so powerful and so strong in the connection and so confident, and trust has always been something that was hard for me to give, because there's been some real big traumas in my life where trust was deeply violated. And here again was this person taking my trust and just obliterating it. And it had happened just a few days before you and I had connected and I joined in the Rise into Your Leadership. So when it came time to share the sister wound, that was what was so fresh in me, and it was just so painful for me. I felt like I couldn't trust myself. I felt like I couldn't trust other women. I felt like it undermined my confidence in my ability to step into my business further. There was so many aspects of it. Felt like the rug had been ripped out from under everything, and I was just standing there holding all these pieces and trying to figure out how to put them back together. And I remember just talking to Source and saying, okay, what am I supposed to do with this, and how are you going to make this beautiful in my life? And then you contacted me, and I just knew this was what I was supposed to do, that this is the direction I'm supposed to go, to be nurtured, to receive from the sister circle, and reach into myself and pull that back out. And that's why it came out during the Rise into Your Leadership demo. It was powerful for me. And then the responses I got from the women in the demo, and in the women that were listening in the gallery and commenting to me, the comments and the support and the nurturing was just so powerful for me. And it was a beautiful salving to the wounds, and it was bolstering to me. It just lifted me back into a place where I felt strong again and could stand up. So,
this is one of the things that just pisses me off the most about the culture that we live in. Because nowadays, you can just click unfriend, you can just block someone. And as a result of that, and the just easy way in which we could cut each other off, that this cancel culture has developed in the world.
Yeah.
And it just drives me bonkers, because what happened to just having conversations?
Right.
And I think the thing here is that this is considered a brave and uncomfortable conversation, because somewhere along the way, she decided that she wanted to just do it on her own.
Right.
And that's fine, right? Like, it's
right.
totally fine. But to just not say anything because of whatever she was feeling. She was probably feeling guilty or ashamed or, disappointing you. And yet this action is so much worse, to not only not say anything, but then to steal all of that content.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is such a prevalent theme in our culture today. And
sadly,
people don't even get the impact.
That's what confused me the most, was I don't know that she even realized what she was doing to me. And that's the thing, is I didn't even realize what was going on until it had taken place. And then I saw her post and I thought, holy smokes, how was I so stupid? How did I not see the signs? What did I miss? What was wrong with me? And that's what hurts me the most, is that it caused me so deeply to question myself again. And it is prevalent, and it made me think about, have I done that to someone else? Have I created that space for anyone else? And it set me on a journey to actually go back and have some conversations with some women that it hadn't been to that drastic of a place, but there had been scenarios where I had created that wound in someone else. And I definitely take that as the silver lining of what happened with me, was that it gave me the catalyst to go have those conversations with another woman and create an uplifting space. Because I would want someone to come back and talk to me. This woman still has not spoken to me. I even messaged her after I saw her post and said, hey, what's going on? And she still never said anything. So,
okay. So a lot of medicine here. The first thing I'm hearing, the medicine, is that you got to see the mirror.
Yes.
And this is what I love about you. You just went out there and you took responsibility. Hey, I could have done this unwittingly, not understanding the impact that I was having. I have an opportunity to go back and make amends.
Right.
And so how did those conversations go?
Oh, I have this beautiful sister that I don't want to share her name because I don't have her permission to do so.
Yeah, don't mention names.
It had it had been we had been working on something, and I kind of had gotten overwhelmed with some things I was going through personally in my life that were coming up, being triggered by what she and I were doing. And I pulled back, and I was processing myself through those things, but I hadn't had the energy to share with anyone what was going on. And so I hadn't shared with her, and I realized that she might be feeling ghosted because I hadn't explained to her what was going on. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, she has gone through How to Lead Circle. And I said, hey, sister, I have a withhold.
Mm-hmm.
Can we chat? And she jumped at the chance. She said, of course. And it was as if no transgression had taken place. We just shared, I shared what I had recognized in myself and what it might have possibly done to her, and how I was deeply concerned that I had wounded her in the way that this other woman had wounded me. And she, of course, reassured me that she had not felt that way, that she had trusted that I would come and talk to her when I was ready, but she deeply appreciated that I had reached out. And she said I had actually inspired her to do the same in a relationship with someone at her work that she was going through something similar with. And so it really fed into this vision I had initially of, do you remember the commercial when we were kids for shampoo where it says she told two friends and she told two friends and she told two friends? Do you remember that commercial?
No, but I love where you're going with this.
I just feel like that was my whole purpose, and that's our purpose as women, to reach out and share the truths with other women and let them know they're not alone, but also be vulnerable when we mess up, to be accountable and have integrity and take responsibility. That's a lot of what's missing in our culture today, is standing up and taking responsibility when you step on someone's toe, or rip a Band-Aid off that you didn't really know was there, but you still created that wound, and you still have a responsibility to salve it and to nurture it. And it what happened for me caused me to check on my relationships with women, and then reaching out to her, she said it caused her to check on her relationships too. And so it created this domino effect of women reaching women. And it just really solidified what I know I'm here to do, and what we're all here to do as women right now. There's a mission we have to connect women, 1 million circles across the planet. That's the point of it. And so, yeah. It's powerful.
Okay, so pause here. Ladies, if you are listening to this, I want you to think of one person who you may have left hanging,
Right.
intentionally or unintentionally. And it might not have been drastic, and maybe it was like just a month ago. Can you reach out and restore that and make amends if you hurt, or just even ask if you hurt their feelings, ask for that forgiveness. Oh, we have an opportunity right now, right? We get to look at and use this medicine for all of us.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this woman. She wrote me a text message and she said something like, I'm really sorry. I've been a little disconnected when I've been around you. And I think it was like her and her husband and whoever I was with. It was a long time ago. And she's like, I just want you to know that I'm recognizing that I've been showing up like very disconnected, and that may have had an impact on you. And so if it did, I just want to apologize and let you know that I really want to connect. I want to be friends. And that left such an impact on me. And she didn't have to do that. And it could be that subtle, right?
Yeah.
Where we show up at a party and we're in a bad mood and we're kind of grumpy, and we don't know that maybe the way in which we spoke to a friend, they wonder if they did something wrong.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't even know sometimes how much our mood and our circumstances can just kind of leak out. And especially in this culture where it's like, oh, I'm fine, even though we're not.
Right. Right. For sure. And
Mm.
and I've done that, someone
Oh
has
yeah.
reached out and said, "How you doing?" And I know I'm not good, but I'm, "Oh, everything's great. How are you?" And we just pass it off. And we don't realize that that person was actually genuinely seeking some help for themselves, but we all pretend we're okay and we keep walking.
Yeah. And that's the
Yeah,
power of circle, right? We get to
right.
actually learn that vulnerability is our strength, and it's
Yes.
okay to admit when we're having a bad day because we're all having bad days.
Right, right.
Mm.
And on the days that we are having a really bad day, there's other people who are there to hold us and pick us up, and if we don't share with them, then they don't know, and they're not able to use their gifts to share their medicine and create that salve that heals all of us.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, the other medicine that I think you received is you started to look at, what did I do wrong? Is there something wrong with me? And spiral into self-doubt and then pull
mhm.
yourself out.
Mm,
And that you did nothing wrong to this sister. You were totally open-hearted, generous, collaborating, and you got to catch yourself in that
yeah.
self-doubt. And I think that is extremely healing for you, especially with so much trauma around other women, and where you might blame yourself and beat yourself up. You got to say, no, I am not going down that route of self-doubt. And it was also through the support of sisterhood,
Yes.
at the event, not only me reaching out, but then having all those women watching the circle demo support you
Yes.
and cheer you on. And so not only did you get that yourself, but you got to actually have that reflected in the sisterhood. And
Yes. It was
yeah,
very, very
so
powerful for me. That demo was very, very powerful for me. I hope it was equally powerful for all the women that were watching and listening.
definitely, definitely, yeah. Yes. Ooh, so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you mind if we dig a little bit into your past?
Not at all. Not at all.
You have
That's
a
why we're here.
I know. You have a very powerful sister wound story from childhood, and I would love for you to share it. And I think that there's a lot that's going to come out of this and we can unpack it. But
Yes.
yeah, share us about your big one.
It it was definitely one of the very first wounds from a sister that I can remember, and it came up when we were in How to Lead Circle, going back to the earliest memory I can recall, where I trusted another sister and she violated that trust. Um, I was in fourth grade and got invited to a sleepover, and that had never happened for me before. The only sleepovers I'd ever gone to were cousins or my grandma's house when everybody was there, aunts and uncles. So this was a big deal to be invited to a birthday party sleepover. And I was super, super excited because I had always kind of been the kid that hung around on the fringes, and I was friendly with everybody, but I was never really anybody's best friend. So to be invited to this party was such a big deal for me. And I remember being so excited, going with my mom and getting some new pajamas to take to the sleepover, and getting the sleeping bag out of the storage and washing it and all that and taking all those things. And um we got to the sleepover and we were all in this room in the basement of this little girl's house, and there was a stairwell going up from the room up to the upstairs, and there was a door. And so we were going to play this game called Murder Mystery, I guess is what it was called. I don't remember the name of the game, but basically you put all these pieces of paper in a bowl and there's an X on one of those pieces of paper, and that person goes out into the hallway as the murderer, and everyone else in the room has to guess who or something. I lose the context of what the game was actually about, but somehow I was the one. Oh, I was the investigator. That's what it was. And I
Oh,
had to go out and wait while the actions took place, and then I had to come back in and try and decipher who had murdered the person that was supposed to be the victim. And so it was kind of like Clue in real life. Um, anyway, I got the X and had to go out into the hallway, and I sat out there for the longest time
yeah.
all by myself, just waiting and waiting, and they never came back out. And the mom came down the stairs and she said, "Why are you sitting out here?" And I said, "Oh, we're playing this game." And she opened the door and they weren't playing the game anymore. They had gone on to something else and they had just deliberately left me out in the stairwell. And they were doing it because they had not actually invited me to the party to be part of the party. They had invited me to the party to be the one that they laughed at and talked about while I was out in the hallway. And they dug through my stuff and they it was a I had always wanted sisters. I had always wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere, like I was accepted in something. And here I thought I had that, and these little girls had tricked me into believing that's what I was receiving. And then they were just making fun of me and teasing me. And then they got in trouble from the mom. So then after the mom left and they were supposed to be nice to me, it just got worse, but it was more subtle. And I wanted to go home, but I couldn't. And I just had to stay there until the morning when my mom came to pick me up. And I remember telling my mom, I don't ever want to go to a sleepover again because it was just so overwhelming for me to receive all of that all by myself in that space. And I didn't have skills. I had no idea how to deal with it all. So I just sat there and took it. I just sat there and took it until I could go home. So, yeah.
Into a freeze. So
yeah.
because there was no fight or flight response,
right,
you just went into freeze, numbness, just get me through this. Let me just survive the next X amount of hours until mom can come and rescue me.
And I'm thinking about it now as you're talking about that, and I'm realizing it was a pattern created that I continued well into my adulthood.
Yeah.
Well into my adulthood. And it also created another pattern in me where I didn't let myself I didn't extend myself to be invited because I was afraid that it would happen again. And so I think that's part of the reason I didn't have good friendships and close girlfriends after that, because I subconsciously was creating the spaces for that not to happen. And I hadn't even thought about that until just now, unpacking it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, because you made that decision and you said to mom, I will never go
on
a
again.
sleepover again. I will never let someone close enough to hurt me like that. And that's how strong that freeze response is. And yet, like you said, like it just keeps coming up. And I think this is really important for us to understand right now as a teaching here around the sister wound is we have these things show up now in current reality. And they're coming from our past. They're coming from childhood. Whether that's a situation like this, where you were ostracized, made fun of, ganged up on by the other little girls, or this happened with blood sister or cousin, or happened with mom, or even with brother. I mean, it's, these dynamics that we have in relationship. And so then they keep repeating. And so if you're listening to this and you have something that came up recently, that the healing work happens when you start to dig into where is this coming from? What is this reminding me of? And so even with this woman ghosting you, different situation, right? There's no like making fun of you. She's just ghosting you.
Right.
But that tendency of like, oh, can't trust another woman. Oh, what did I do wrong? And then it's like, no, I am loved. I do belong in sisterhood. I do have sisterhood, right? You have amazing women who got your back. And I'm going to actually, and I love this, I'm going to take the action to make sure that I repair any of my sister wounds that I may have caused. And that's the work. That's how you heal.
Right. Yeah. And I think about, I wonder where those little girls are now and what their lives are like. And there was this thought that occurred to me that maybe I need to find them and release them, you know, say, hey, I remember this and it deeply wounded me, but I want to make sure that you're not carrying the guilt of that, because I carry guilt from things I've done. And so I just want to release them. And even if I'm just doing that now, in the energy of it, I just want to put the energy out that I release them from that, so that it doesn't, not only is it not continuing to hurt me and drain me, but maybe those things are holding them, and I can spiritually just cut those connections and let them fly away from that too. So,
well, that is the brave woman. Okay, so if that happens, I want to hear about it.
okay.
I'm sure you're going to be able to find these people on Facebook.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, holy smokes, I bet I could find them.
Oh, very
I
easily.
bet I could.
Oh, yeah, because many of them may still be friends. A lot of people even just share, their maiden name in like parentheses so that people from high school can find them.
Yeah.
So, wow, I'm
Yeah.
impressed. That's, yeah. Yeah, I can remember locking a little girl in the bathroom.
Oh
I
my
was part
goodness.
of it.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember exactly who she was, and not really understanding what I was doing.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, remember there
It's
were three of us.
amazing to me.
Hmm.
It's amazing to me how, as children, when we're going through those things, we aren't cognizant of what we're actually doing, and we have no idea how profoundly powerful those things stick and stay. And it's kind of the crux of what I do with my business now, is helping women go back to those things. And I learned those skills through you in How to Lead Circle, and trusting going into those places, creating that space so that women can return to those vulnerable, painful places and seek out where the wounds are, and nurture them and heal them and speak to that inner child. And for you, and the things that you might have done, learning how to go back in and talk to those spaces in yourself, you know, where each of us has, we've all hurt other people unintentionally, and we've all been hurt by other people, and they weren't intentional in what they did. Sometimes they were, sometimes it was malicious, like what happened to me with those girls. But a
Yeah.
lot of times it's just, we're doing something because everyone else is doing it, and we don't even realize what we're doing is so damaging to someone and so painful, and can create lasting patterns in someone's life that,
Yeah.
whew,
Yeah, because there's a ringleader, typically,
yeah,
or maybe
yeah,
it's two ringleaders, and then everyone else is just following suit so that they don't lose their space, their
right.
spot in the tribe.
They're
Because
not
that
left out.
is why we do these mob mentality things. Is I don't want to get kicked out.
Right,
I don't want to be her. And
right.
yet, then sometimes then we become that person, and then we get what we,
Perpetuate the
yeah,
cycle.
yep, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think about it, I was definitely not the ringleader, but I was going along with
Mhm.
whatever that girl was doing in locking that little girl in the bathroom. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm still guilty by association. I still remember playing along with it.
Right.
Yeah. Mm. And then, so this is when we get to do that, and we get to visit those old memories, and we get to see that, it allows us to then stay in our power today when
Yes.
things come up, versus making up stories of what did I do wrong. And yeah, yeah. And I would say there's also an opportunity for us as women in what are we teaching the next generation?
Yes. Yes. And I have a beautiful 12-year-old granddaughter who went through something last summer very similar to what I went through in that fourth grade
Hmm.
basement. And I had the chance to sit with her and talk with her and use the skills that I learned in How to Lead Circle to walk her through processing that and Where do you feel that? What does it make you think of? What could you do different? How can you rewrite this in yourself? And she talks to me about that. And I love that I have that chance in her world to make a difference. And she actually has asked me if she can do a circle with her little friends. And so I'm excited that we're going to create a little young girls circle and start them as young as they can. I wish that someone had been powerful enough in my life to share these things with me when I was young so that I could have lived a different pattern. But then I also think if I hadn't gone through those things I went through, I wouldn't be the force I am now to create these changes here. And I think you can't have one without the other, kind of. So I'm excited to know that I can make a difference in her life and see it change her world. And she can go and change other people's worlds. And maybe there will be a generation of little 10, 11-year-old girls who aren't doing those things to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. That's walking the walk of circle. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to do is in the show notes, I am just thinking about, I think it was our first Rise into Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And you did the beautiful healing our little girl visualization.
Yes.
So we're going to add that into our show notes. So ladies, you can listen to that and take yourself through that. We'll put the we'll put the recording of that so you can just use this as an opportunity to heal your little girl.
Yes.
And then you've got some homework, ladies, to find that one person who you can reach out and repair with.
Yes.
And watch the ripple effect. And that is how we are going to heal this sister wound and create sacred sisterhood on the planet.
Yes. And if there's someone you feel hurt you, be brave enough to go and talk to them. Be brave enough to reach out. And even if they don't respond, release them, because it's not helping you to hold on to those things either. That was something I learned in what happened with me was I can't keep dwelling on what she did and how it went. I have to find the medicine and move forward. And that was what I did by taking the steps to join in the Rise into Your Leadership event that day with you, and just realize that I have the control. We have the control over how we respond and how we allow these things to stay in us or use them for what we can and let them go. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's what it feels like to me.
Well, Tara, thank you so much for, as usual, showing up.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing your stories today and being vulnerable and sharing your medicine and your lessons with us. So grateful for you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Do you dream of having a 6 or 7-figure business? Learn how to embody the energy of the 7-figure goddess with Elizabeth Purvis in the next episode.